I got on the phone yesterday with one of our investors and she said, I saw you in Twitter. No, maybe it was LinkedIn. No, maybe it was YouTube. And I said, you're right. Whatever you say, you're right. Because we're everywhere and we're adding more. So we use a software, and we're going to get into some of the tools in a minute to answer your questions, but we use a software or a platform called Libsyn for our podcast, for the audio. And with that one tool, you can syndicate out to many places. So we're on iTunes, we're on Spotify, we're on SoundCloud, and we're adding iHeartRadio and on and on and on. So you can take some of these tools and those leverage points and be able to put that information out into many places. But what you want to achieve is omnipresence, and the internet gives you the power to do it. The power to do it through content, by giving away content, and also the power by leveraging, and I talked about this in a video recently, but the power to achieve omnipresence by leveraging retargeting or remarketing. And what that means is if you put the right pieces in place on your website, you can pixel people, and if on all these platforms you're pixeling them correctly, it means that everywhere they go, you can be there too. So a way for, if you, all of you may be familiar with this, but if you're not, if you've ever gone on a website and then everywhere else you go on the web, their logo, their ads or whatever are on those pages everywhere you go, and you think to yourself, they're following me around. They're everywhere I am. Or they're everywhere, but they're not everywhere. They're only everywhere you are. And so it's a virtual or a fabricated form of omnipresence that paid advertising on the internet. So you pay for the privilege to be in front of those people. But what happens is it puts on many, many layers. And so I want to segue with that in between point 4 and point 5 with this, with a strategy I teach called the carousel concept. So I want you to think about that all of your prospects are on a carousel and they're going around and around and around and around. And you as a marketer, as an educator, as a solution provider, as a professional, are standing on the ground next to the carousel. And every time they go around, they see you. You're standing there. You have some options. When they go around, you can hold up your brochure and say, you want to buy my stuff? And somebody at some point, might buy your stuff. I like to say even a blind squirrel finds a nut every once in a while. But the fact is that you're not serving the audience. They're eventually going to start ignoring you. But what if instead, every time they came around, meaning every time they log on to Instagram, every time they log on to YouTube, every time they go on Facebook, you're right there in front of their face with value, with content. What happens is people, write this down, people learn in layers and people buy in layers. The more layers you put on, the better chance you have of closing them. And so what happens is, as that carousel goes around, every time they come around, every time they get online, every time they open your emails, every time they visit your Facebook page, or if you're using social media platforms to push content into the stream, both organically as well as with paid traffic, then every time they're logging on, you're right there in front of them giving value. And so when that carousel goes around, you give value. When it goes around, you give value. What happens is, at some point in their life, they're going to hit the tipping point. Either their needs are going to change, their trust and bonding and willingness is going to change, their pain is going to increase enough, something's going to happen in their life and it's going to push them over the edge. And when that happens, you want to be the person that's standing there at the edge of the carousel when they're ready to get off and hand you their credit card and buy. And so when you think about social media, don't think about it in terms of it's just technology, or don't think about it in terms of, oh, I got to go out there and get me some people. Think of it in terms of a platform to serve.
Get more content plus free bonuses and resources at jpmaroney.com/VIP.